What's up, YouTube? Let's continue our gamification series here. Now that I got my book and guide out of the way, we've got to focus some more time on this. So, this episode 7, we're going to talk about human motivation. This is something that's really important in gamification because when you think about motivation, the big issue that we have is that we often don't motivate kids in school enough. We assume that one way works or one or two ways works, but in reality there's a huge spectrum of motivation, especially in the gaming world. So when you combine gamification and motivation, you get a model created by Yu-Kai Chu, who is one of the pioneers of gamification, and he released what's called the Octalysis model, which is the 8 core drivers of human motivation. Let's explore that further in terms of how it will actually affect and change the way that kids learn inside your class. So Yu-Kai was one of the first guys to really realize and make notice that the world tends to revolve around what's called a function-focused model, which means that we don't care about the people doing the tasks. We just care that the tasks get completed. And this is pretty relevant in education because quite often we don't really care how the students are doing the work, or we care way too much about how they're doing the work, but the actual idea that we focus on is these dreaded standardized tests to prove that our classroom is good and strong and healthy and kids are learning and they're meeting all these standardized goals. And I've never been pro standardized test because a test is a snapshot of someone's knowledge in that point in time. You never really have an idea about what went on during that day, week, or anything in their personal life or extracurriculars that could lead to them performing poorly on a test. Especially kids know that it's not graded. Some kids don't even care about them. So they just do whatever they want to do and move on with it. We want to get away from that in education, which is why gamification is really successful if you apply it properly, because it focuses on a player or user-centered model, which means that because it's human-focused, it focuses on the people in the game or in the classroom, and because you motivate them, they in turn prove and produce better work, better results, and kind of better collaboration. Now, it's called human-focused, and the name gamification derives from this because the gaming industry was kind of the first to recognize this. There are millions upon millions of choices you can use in the gaming world, or games you can play, but the idea is none of them are mandatory. You don't need to play games. However, many of us want to. So the gaming industry had to figure out how to cater and listen to the people playing their games so that they would continue investing money and time in their games. So when you take those principles, tie them to the actual motivation techniques that the gaming industry uses, we get what Yu-Kai refers to as the 8 core drivers of human motivation. Let's explore each of those core drivers right now and a little bit of a taste about how they can reflect a gamified classroom to really boost engagement in your kids. Alright, so here are the 8 core drivers of human motivation. We have epic meaning and calling, development and accomplishment, creativity and feedback, ownership and possession, social influence and relatedness, scarcity and impatience, unpredictability and curiosity, and loss and avoidance. Now, let's break down these different human motivations, shall we? The first one is epic meaning and calling. This is very, very prevalent in games, and the reason games such as Call of Duty or games like the Create a Player in most EA sports games or sports games in general is so popular, it's the idea that you are accomplishing a task you could never accomplish in real life. As Yu-Kai always refers to it, it's the world is about to end and for some reason you are the only person who can save the world. In reality, you would probably not be able to save the world and lead an army, but in a game you take this leadership and you're addicted to it because you become hooked on the fact that you are helping people or helping a cause greater than yourself. You can incorporate this into your class by simply thinking about the idea of the overarching story. I'm going to talk a little bit on a future episode about story and narrative and how important it is in gamification. Really important to know that when you create a really good, developed, and immersive overall story, you create this epic meaning calling in your classroom where kids immerse themselves in the story and want to in turn help the people they come across and accomplish the missions and things like that because they become all consumed, because they feel as if they're being called to do something bigger than themselves. The second one is development and accomplishment. This is the supposed motivation that school is based on, and that's the fact that you start at nothing and you move up and you're constantly acknowledged for it. This is the exact premise that RPG games are designed for. The problem is school doesn't really do this well. The idea is that in an RPG you start off as levels 1, you're kind of this petty person and all of a sudden you kill a couple of skeletons and you kill a goblin in a game such as Diablo, for example, and you find a suit of armor and a new sword, and the game congratulates you and says, yes, awesome job, you just earned this much experience, so we're going to put you a level up. And all of a sudden you take some pride and some passion in that, and you're like, yes, the game acknowledged my hard work and it pushed me forward to the next level, therefore I want to work hard to get acknowledged again to reach the next level, etc., etc. Development, accomplishment, and meaning and calling are often tied together, because as you develop, you get deeper into the story and you get access to more things. So you can incorporate this idea into your game, or your gamified classroom, simply by letting kids earn things at different times, or by leveling up kids. My grading system is actually referred to as experience points. So the kids earn experience points, and when they hit a certain level in the game, they unlock a different avatar class and get different perks. I also just reward them. Oh, you're doing fantastic. I see that your work has, improved dramatically since September, and we're now in November, so I'll give them little rewards like cards or items or in-game currency. Very motivating for kids. The third one is creativity and feedback. Creativity and feedback is a really cool one because it's the exact premise that Minecraft is designed off of. It's the concept that you're given a task, but you're not really given an objective or goal about how to complete it. So they say, here are some blocks, watch out, there's a zombie, make sure you eat and sleep, and then survive. So you start building and crafting by simply playing and putting things together, and as you do this, you create this kind of epic, home, you get deeper into the game, and you get a lot of feedback by other users and players who play your game, or levels that you've created, or you play with or against, and they give you feedback based on the successes and the failures of the things that you've created. An amazing example of the real world is this game called Fold It, which solved about 20 years of PhD research on AIDS and HIV, when these researchers could not fit all of the particles and molecules and structures of an AIDS virus or cell into the cell or the space that it allocated. And after about 25 years of not getting anywhere, they created a game, and it was dubbed kind of Tetris on steroids, because you had just some slider dials and some different things you could manipulate, and you had to fit all these components inside this space. And it took 10 days for the gaming community globally to solve every problem and advance the research. So creativity is awesome, because all of the quests, I use this in my game, because all of the quests are open-ended. So it says, you come across this person, they need your help. How would you solve this problem? If this is the goal you have to reach, I don't set the path as to where most traditional classrooms say the best way to do it is do this, then this, then this. I just say, I have no idea. How would you accomplish or solve that goal in that scenario? The next one is ownership and possession. This is the fact that you own something and you want to take care of it. This is really easy for kids to understand. You give them game currency and they want to earn more and they want to take care of it. They don't want to give it away. They don't want to waste it or lose it. A wicked math game for game-based learning, as I referred to in another video, is called Dragon Box. Ownership and possession is the exact same idea for Dragon Box. You own this dragon and you want to take care of it. It is your possession. So you're going to do whatever you can in order to feed it by solving these series of problems that the game gives you. So same concept. I use this in my class based on giving them game cards and prizes and badges and materials and game currency. They have it, they want more of it, and they take care of it and use it wisely. The next one is social influence and relatedness. Social influence and relatedness is very simple for kids. They're constantly in a world of social media where they're comparing themselves to other people. Whether we want them to or not, whether we're pro-comparison or not, we naturally do this all the time. So as we compare ourselves to other people, we can sometimes change the behaviors and motivations. An incredible example of this is a company called O-Power, which essentially took was getting tons of wasted energy, and despite all of the information and stuff that they said about, people continued to waste energy and were ignoring all of their advertisements and recommendations. So they simply put everyone's usage of electricity in a graph and mailed it to everybody, and they on every street everybody was able to see the different comparison from their household usage to everybody else's. Because people didn't want to be the person using the most electricity on the street, electricity usage started to drop. And as a matter of fact, they saved $250 million in a terawatt of power in 1 year doing this, which is an incredible amount of savings simply by showing people where they relate. In a gamified classroom, I use leaderboards to show people where they are, to show people where their guilds are, to give them targets and things like that. The next one is scarcity and impatience. Think about anything you've ever bought that you only bought because there was one or two of or because it was on sale. Scarcity and patience is the idea that we need to do something now because something is going to happen very soon. It's the concept where when my children are playing with a toy, then they both leave the toy and it sits in the carpet for a week. Then all of a sudden my son grabs the toy and my daughter hears this with her incredible super hearing, from another road, another house down the street even. It'll come running into the house. I was about to use that toy. And it's the idea that we need to use something that often other people have, or we want access to what other people have, or you see a sale and you go, I'm not sure if I should use this or should I buy this, and then all of a sudden one person picks up the second last one in front of you, so you just buy it spontaneously. Think about companies like Kickstarter and eBay. Something counts down and all of a sudden you go, uh-oh, I've already committed this much to it, or I'm already this deep, I've waited half an hour in the betting, or I've contributed $1,000, and if I don't bid another time or contribute more money, then the idea is not going to work. So Scarcity and Patience is awesome. I do sales in my stores, and I make cards of different rarities so that they're able to turn around and make these kind of split-second decisions. We have Unpredictability and Curiosity. This is the concept of game cards. This is the idea that you're going to do something because you don't know what the result could be, but it could be positive. So if you think about buying a pack of baseball cards or hockey cards and you open them up and all of a sudden you find this incredible game-worn jersey card or the super flashy edge card, and all of a sudden it was unpredictable, but you were curious to determine if that would be in that card, and that would be in that card pack. So unpredictability and curiosity are huge in the sense that when you use this, you can get kids to kind of explore and try different things that they might normally ignore. So I have my game cards. I often just use tinfoil to create packaging, and I create a label, and then I get kids to buy card packages in stores. I have mysteries and puzzles where kids will reach an end goal, and then they have a choice at the end. And sometimes they bypass the choice out of fear that the unpredictability could be poison or a punishment, or curiosity gets the best of them when they open it up. So really easy to use in a gamified classroom. The last one is loss and avoidance. Loss and avoidance is very simple to understand. You have something, you don't want to lose it. Think about extreme loss like death, or it going away forever. So if you have loss and avoidance in a game, that's where you lose a teammate and they don't respawn, or you get kicked out of places and things like that. So the idea with loss and avoidance in a gamified classroom is to give them a consequence that they want to try to avoid. So for example, in my game on the battle board or things like that, when they die in the game or lose their life in the game, they lose all of the game currency and the game cards that they've earned. And a lot of kids don't want to do this, which has become much more motivating to them than actual this invisible grade that's just on a computer system. So they will work super hard to avoid losing these things that they've accumulated. So that's a very easy way to kind of pop it into a gamified classroom. So thanks for checking this video out. As we dive deeper, we're going to look at the different types of players that exist in a gamified classroom, how we can write a successful story and narrative, and we're going to go deeper into actually grading and questing. If you want to know more sooner, because I won't be diving too deep into this now that I've got my brand new teacher guide, please feel free to check out my teacher guide at my store. It can be found on my website, mrhebert.org. Click on Gamification and the Store tab. It is an amazing resource for educators and teachers of all ages, of all classes, of all subjects. I've helped people from kindergarten all the way to university courses prepare gamified environments for incredible results that I'm being told all the time. So, thanks for checking it out, and until next time,